All right, so you may have noticed looking at the agenda that we're going to be going through the entire customer journey from demand gen all the way through customer success. We're going to tie it all together with some integration talk. So yeah, we are really excited that you're all here, and I'm going to pass it off to our first speaker, Everett Berry, who's going to be doing a little bit of an interactive session.
Okay, hello. Hello, everybody. Let's see. How do we want to do the slides? Just point at you?
Oh, I was supposed to do that. That's my bad.
Okay, perfect.
There you go.
All right, awesome. Okay, right. So I think to start off, there's a big misconception about clay out there kind of in the world. Does anyone know what that misconception is? It's actually on our homepage, but any guesses? It's one word. AI company, okay, that's good. Any other guesses? Outbound, correct. People think of clay as a mass outbounding tool, and I'm here to tell you today that's actually incorrect. That's not the way that our best customers use clay. It's not the way I used clay when I was a clay customer before I joined the company. Clay is best thought of as a highly precise targeting tool. And so we're going to go through that exercise today, actually with you all, who I have enriched, and we're going to use your attendee registrations to kind of, quote unquote, find our ICP. But before we do that, I think we can get into a little bit of my background. So I started my career as an engineer, actually. I was building some crazy camera stuff, kind of like Amazon Go. And then I spent 4 years leading growth teams at developer tools companies. Those last 2 years, I was working at a company that sold cloud cost software, and we did a ton of prospecting into technical organizations. Particularly, we used technographics and data from GitHub to really refine who we were going after and find the person at these organizations that was trying to save money on the cloud. And so that experience kind of led me here to Clay. Now at Clay, I lead our go-to-market engineering team, which is effectively our sales team, although we probably spend a little more time working on solutions and data and the technical stuff versus necessarily cold calling you at 9 p.m. to like sign the DocuSign. So that's me. And then, yeah, because of Clay's breadth of data providers, we actually just crossed 100 data providers in Clay. It means that you can find all the data points that you need for your go-to-market motion inside the tool. Putting those together in the right way is kind of a different story, but all the data is there. And so for my team, for example, one of the main kind of values that we provide for customers during our sales process is to just help them string together the data providers in a way that gets them to what they want. So there are 4 parts of Clay. There are the integrations, which I just talked about. They're all available in the tool. You don't need API keys or billing or contracts with any of them. They're all available via this kind of credit-based marketplace. And then you, of course, want to then stitch them together. So if you want to find phone numbers, there are 8 different data providers with phone numbers. If you want to find work emails, there are 10 different folks that have work emails. Tech stack, there's 3. Revenue, there's 6. There's all these different data providers in Clay that you can stitch together. And then for all the data points that you don't have in those data providers, or that are special, or that are just like available on the internet, we have agents which can go out and search Google and browse the web and so forth. When you have these 3 things put together, only then do I recommend that you start to send outbound and that you start to do messaging. If you don't have great data coverage or you have bad data, it's actually just more likely than not that you will shoot yourself in the foot with messaging. You'll have email deliverability problems, SDRs will call bad phone numbers, and it will be not a great experience. So data is the foundation. And then, of course, there are a variety of use cases. And the one we're going to do today is really probably this one, which is account and lead scoring. But you can use all of that data to do other things. I particularly am a fan of signals and intent these days. This is the primary thing that we are doing for our own outbound at Clay, using website intent and job changers and other things. And then you can do some basically like ABM stuff. You can, of course, connect Clay to your inbound lead funnels and TAM sourcing. Let's say you want to find all the companies in your TAM that are not in your CRM. Those are things that you can use all this data for. Okay, and so getting into our actual exercise here, this is just a simple view of one part of Clay. It's all the integrations that you can access. So I just picked a portion of the list here. But you can see, even in this list, we have Microsoft Dynamics, we have Enrichedly, which is work emails. We have Find Email, which is emails. We have Fivetran, which is data connectors. So everything you need is kind of in the tool, and you can connect it together. And so getting into our exercise, I just uploaded the list of everybody that had signed up as of, I think it was last week, into Clay. So there's 42 of us to start out with. People from all different aspects of go-to-market, people from all different kinds of companies. And so in this exercise, I've taken that list and started to kind of slice and dice it. And by the way, this is exactly the exercise we ran at Dreamforce when we collected about 1,000 leads. We didn't actually reach out to all of them blindly. We reached out to the ones that were relevant to us. Okay, so into the game. Round one is employee count. This is the kind of starting point for most companies. You generally are going to reach out to and prospect to a company of a certain size. Does anyone know the difference between employee count and employee size range? Yes, it is. That's true. What about how that data is collected or measured usually? Yeah, so the difference between range and the employee count is usually range is self-reported. So if you go on LinkedIn, OpenAI has an employee size range between 200 and 500 employees, but their actual number of employees is close to 4,000. So if you use employee size range just blindly from most data providers, it usually is incorrect. You want to use actually employee count. And so the first step to do that is to take the list of all of you and find LinkedIn profiles. So we have 5 different data providers which provide that. MixRank, RocketReach, People Data Labs, and Clearbit. And this is a waterfall in Clay. So we're going to take as inputs the emails, the names, the companies. Some of you didn't submit companies. It's okay. We took care of that. And we're going to feed them through those data providers. And if we don't find the data in MixRank, we'll go to RocketReach, we'll go to People Data Labs, and so forth. And then you'll notice that each data provider charges like a little bit different amount of credits. So usually when I run this, I kind of delete Clearbit and I kind of optimize it because Clearbit is the most expensive. And in our tests, of course, we've ranked this waterfall in order of data quality. So the results are that we, in this exercise, are targeting companies with more than 50 employees. So I've narrowed the list down already, just in doing that, of attendees from 142 to 67. That's this filter number up here. And then, of course, I've ranked this in terms of the number of employees, which is always a good check to do. Okay, round 2 is fundraising in this exercise. There's several different ways to report on fundraising. Can anyone tell me what those ways are? How about one way? Crunchbase, yes. Okay. What about how fundraising is reported? Yes, okay. So basically there's amount of funding, there's latest stage, right? So Series D, Series B. There's who invested in the round, and then there's total funding over all time. So which one do you think Clay uses for its own prospecting? Latest, yeah. We use total funding. And that's because many companies will raise like extensions of rounds, right? So they might raise a Series C plus round, which is actually maybe smaller than their previous Series C. And so in our own ranking, they may turn out to be in a different segment than we go after. But if you just look at a company that's raised over $200 million, you just say, okay, that company is large and fits our ICP. So here, again, we have different data providers, just two in this case, Dealroom and Harmonic. One other interesting thing here, if I wanted to go a little bit harder, I would have added Clayagent in here to actually go and find like news or press releases about fundraising. But I just stuck with my data providers that I have here because I found that the coverage was pretty good. So when I did that, I found something interesting, which is like just basically a strong bifurcation in the attendees. So of the companies that had 50 employees or more, basically some had raised no money ever and were essentially not venture-backed, and others had raised a lot of money. So I just set this filter to be, okay, total funding is greater than 0. When I did that, I cut my list down from 67 to 32 people out of 142. So we're making strong progress in finding our ICP. All right, and round 3 is ICP. This is actually the type of company that we're going after. Can anyone tell me who Clay's ICP is? SaaS, yeah, that's pretty close. VP of Sales? Actually, not quite. Not quite. RevOps? Exactly. So Clay, what I like to say is Clay is used by the fastest growing companies in the world. So not the biggest, but the fastest growing. So a lot of those are late stage technology companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, Intercom, Vanta. That is Clay's ICP. That's who we go after. We are used, of course, by a variety of people. But if I'm leading the sales team and you ask me to go point to a number and say, this is the number that we need to hit, how are you going to hit it? I'm just going to go to the Cloud 100 and just do this exact exercise. Okay, so this is a bit interesting. B2B SaaS is actually not an industry on LinkedIn. Maybe it's software and internet, but companies like Viacom or other things, that is included in there. That's not what I'm interested in. I actually want B2B SaaS. I want a very specific industry. And so to get this, what I can do is I can take the company description, I can take the industry that the company is in, and I can use AI to actually create the segment that I want. So this prompt here takes those two things as inputs, and then I'm telling the model to, looking at these descriptions, if this company is not in, if it's in software but not in B2B SaaS. So an example of that would be like Chegg, right? Chegg is an online student helper website. That's not B2B SaaS. That's not Clay's ICP. Then exclude that. So I did that, and I got my list down from 37. I think it was 37 to 26. So I've got B2B SaaS. So I'm getting much closer now. Okay, last round of if I was enriched. Okay, contact title. So you mentioned something earlier, which was that Clay sells to the VP of Sales. Actually, not true. VP of Sales is kind of like a influencer, sometimes a blocker in our deals. So who knows who Clay's like real title is that we go after? RevOps, yes. Otherwise known as? CRO is pretty good. Yeah, CRO is like our signer, usually, yeah. I see GTM systems a lot, business systems. I saw corporate engineering once. That's a good one. That's what Amplitude calls it. So yeah, so Clay goes after the ops people in the in the sales and marketing org. Marketing ops is another great one. So for this list in particular, I kind of tried some different prompts, and I just decided to make it like a little more broad. So this prompt looks at if someone is in GTM or not. And then one tip here, I'm explaining to the model what GTM means. So this is a person in sales, marketing, or ops. And then I'm saying, I'm kind of giving it one caveat here. Sometimes we see, or very often, we see account execs and sellers sign up for Clay and use Clay. We don't sell to account execs, and Clay, in fact, is really not even a rep tool, although great reps do use Clay. We generally are going to sell to leadership. So I'm asking the model to now exclude those people. Okay, so I've got my final set of filters here to find my ICP. I've got employee count greater than 50, raised money, companies in B2B SaaS, and the person works in GTM. And so with this set of filters, I've ended up with 4 people. These are our ICPs. The actual targeting we do is a little more sophisticated than this, but out of 142 people that signed up, I've got basically people that are in sales, but actually the summary talked about some ops stuff here, people in marketing, director of demand gen, that's definitely ICP, and so forth. And so Aaron, Justin, Danny, and Brittany, if you're watching or in the room, you win a fabulous prize, which is a custom-made Clay figurine, which we will make for you and ship to you. So yeah, that is If I Was Enriched. Yes. And hopefully that gives you a sense of, like, on a small scale, what Clay is most useful for your own demand gen. It's a highly precise targeting tool, and I really encourage you to use it that way and not send thousands and thousands of emails. All right, thank you.